Morning, everyone. Milton here, coming to you live from, I believe this is called Antelope Acres, out in the west side of Antelope Valley, down over here by 100th Street West. I apologize for the wind and the camera acting a little funny right now. It's a little windy out here in Antelope Valley, in the Antelope Acres. And so today's devotional was very interesting to me. I've been thinking about it for a while. Actually, ever since last Sunday, I had made a post about James 5, talking about, I apologize for the camera and the wind here, guys. So I was talking about James 5, where basically it's referring to, if any of you come into a fault, go ahead and confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that you may be healed. And that being said, then there's further down on verse 19 and 20, it talks about going about and it says, "My brethren, know that if any of you are able to convert someone who goes astray away from the truth, and then you're able to convert them, let that person know that you spared a soul from hell and that you covered a multitude of sins." Now, right here, I'm using this particular background because it reminded me of another a conversation I had with one of the brothers at church. It was maybe about a couple of weeks ago, and so we were talking about what brings about the fruit in the lives of people. And so obviously, preaching the word and watering people with the water of the word brings about life. But everything has to do in its season. And so I use this as an example because that's the one that I was actually thinking about when I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago. I said, have you noticed how the poppy flowers only bloom in their season? So oftentimes, I think at least, maybe some of us may also think that, but they think that, hey, if I water the plant, if I water the flower, it's going to grow and it's going to bloom. And this is true because water is a life source for all of these things that are living. However, everything must grow in its season. There's been rain and rain and rain through January up to now. And these flowers haven't blossomed from January until now, because now is the season of the poppy flower. So it doesn't matter how much water it gets. If it's not the season of that flower, it's not going to grow. It's not going to bloom. It's not going to come up out of the ground. So oftentimes I think that we get discouraged by our efforts in trying to preach the word, plant the seed, water the seed, and things of that nature, and we are not seeing the fruit of it. And it could be because it's not the season of that particular individual. So I encourage you with that. On a side note, just encouraging you with that you know what, it might not be the season of that particular individual, and that's the reason why you're not seeing the fruit of your labor, the fruit of your planting, the fruit of your watering. It's not that you're not being effective. It might just be that it's not the time of that individual to receive the gospel, to accept it, and to do something with it, to allow God to change their lives. But that's not the message today. That was just free. Because as I was out here, I was driving around trying to find a place to do this particular devotional. And I remembered seeing this thing from afar, from the distance. You can see it. It's all orange. And I see it from where I live. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a devotional out there. So I kept on driving to find a little place where I could go. And I found I found a little turnout here so I could park on the side of the road away from the traffic. But the topic of today, actually, the verse of the day today is Acts 4:36. Because, as I was saying earlier, in James 5, it talks about, my brothers, if any of you fall away from the truth, and another one convert him, let him know that he that converts a sinner from the error of his ways saves a soul from hell and also covers a multitude of sin. And I'm going to get back to that at the end. But so that started, turning my wheels, and I was like, you know what? How can what application can I find in the Bible that somebody is doing this? And all of a sudden, the thoughts started flooding, and it came Barnabas, the son of Consolation. Barnabas, the son of Consolation. So that's where I'm getting the scripture today, is in Acts 4:36, and it says, and Joseph, who by the apostles was surnamed or nicknamed, surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of Consolation, a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus. And so that is the main scripture I'm using today, Acts 4:36. The son of Consolation, Barnabas, who was originally named Joseph or Joseph. So I started doing a little study on it this morning, and so I found out that Yoisis, I hope I'm pronouncing the Greek right, Yoisis is the Greek word for Joseph, and it means exalted. That's key. Joseph or Joseph means exalted. But that same Joseph or Joseph was surnamed or nicknamed Barnabas by the apostles because in Acts 4, he ended up going out and selling his field and gave the money and placed it at the feet of the apostles. So they saw that in their time of need, they saw this man's generosity come and sell his property, a field, let's say a field like this, priceless field. He went and sold it and he laid the money at the feet of the apostles. And so therefore they called him the son of Consolation, Barnabas. So I started trying to figure out what other versions I could read. And so I found out that Barnabas, son of Consolation, another rendition for that is son of encouragement, son of exhortation, son of rest, or one who encourages others. One who encourages others. That's what Barnabas means. It's one who takes the time to encourage others. So, I started doing a research on consolation because he's the son of consolation. So what does that actually mean, the son of consolation? So the son of consolation means, in the Greek it says, is the word paraklesis. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Paraklesis is the Greek word for consolation, and it means to admonish, to comfort, to console, to encourage, to exhort, to refresh and solace. It's a calling to one side or summoning somebody near them for help. It's a form of supplication and entreaty with a persuasive discourse or stirring address which suggests the capability and adaptability for giving aid. So basically, it's someone whose encouraging words makes you come close to them and draws them near to you. As you start speaking these words of life, as you start giving people words of encouragement, it's not doom and gloom. The sky is not falling. It's not woe is me. There's always a silver lining on the dark clouds above our heads. So that's the son of consolation. Somebody who's going to give you a word of encouragement. Yeah, you may have fallen down, but you don't have to stay down. Yeah, you might have, been broken down, but you can always get back up and try it again and try it again and try it again. In a court setting, the word paraklesis means a legal assistant, like a counsel for a defense, an advocate. And in a general term, it means someone who pleads another's cause, like an intercessor or an advocate. And who does not need an advocate in this life? Who doesn't need somebody who's going to be by your side come hell or high water? Come, to the times of trouble, to the times of sorrow, to the times of grief, because we can always have a well-faring friend when times are good and when you got money in your pocket and everything is going well. But who's going to be with you when the times are rough? When you only got 2 dimes to rub together? When you're going through the down and out, when everything seems to be against you? Who's going to be by your side? That's going to be Barnabas. That's going to be your friend who sticks closer than any brother because he's walking after the Spirit. And that Spirit is the Spirit of Christ that is in us. So I continue with the definition. The definition is speaking closely to anyone. That's what Barnabas or paraklesis, to comfort, to console, to admonish, to encourage. It's speaking closely to someone. Hence, it denotes a greater degree somebody is willing to come close to you because the words that you're speaking are going to be soothing words, words of encouragement, words that don't cut, words that heal and not maim, words that are encouraging to the individual that is hurting at the time of loss. So that's what the Barnabas type person does. And so it's a soothing and a solace. It's a verbal form of words like medicine that alleviates the irritation, the things that are happening in our lives. And it's also used as a messianic salvation, calling him, that is Christ, the consoler or the comforter. And we've heard that before. The comforter, that is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name. He will show you into all truth and tell you everything that is the will of God. Sorry guys, it's a bad wind out here. So here's another fun fact that I did not know about Barnabas. So Barnabas actually is he was the first one to vouch for the Apostle Paul, the great Apostle Paul, right? The one who, outside of Jesus, changed the world drastically, right? But he also had a mentor. He had somebody who stick up for him. And it says in Acts, and I'll put all the scriptures in the comments as I usually do, that Barnabas was the first one to vouch for Paul's conversion because all of the other apostles were afraid of Paul. They said, no, that guy's going to kill us. I don't know if that guy's actually saved. Did he really get saved? Is the question that a lot of the other apostles were having. So then Barnabas, who they knew and they trusted because he was willing to give of his, life, and he was willing to give of his money, they gave him audience. And so then Barnabas steps up and he starts talking about Paul. And he says, hey, listen, this man's conversion is real. And I've seen him preaching about Jesus and converting people and getting people baptized in the name of Jesus. So then the apostles kind of relaxed a little bit about Paul. And so Barnabas was basically Paul's greatest advocate in the beginning. When Paul didn't have anybody else to stand up for him, neither did Paul have a voice before the apostles because everybody was afraid of him. So Barnabas steps up and Barnabas says, hey, let's go ahead and give him a chance. Give him a chance. And so Paul and Barnabas was basically almost like, your best friend who goes with you everywhere and is with you through thick and thin. And that's what Barnabas was. It's almost like you couldn't even say Paul without saying Barnabas. Paul and Barnabas, Paul and Silas, Peter and Silas. It's like these words and these names come together just like anybody, it's like peanut butter and jelly, And so fun facts about Barnabas. Like I said, he was the first one to stand up for the Apostle Paul when he didn't have a voice before the apostles. Then he was also a distinguished teacher, a companion and a colleague of Paul, and he was his mentor that went with him on the first few of the missionary journeys. He was a constant support to Paul in his efforts in gathering money, collecting money, so he can distribute that to the Jews that were in Galilee and Judea, the rest of the apostles there, and then also to the Gentile churches. So that is Paul. However, and the son of Consolation. However, the son of Consolation was also part of his gifting is to admonish and to exhort. And so then he withstood Paul when he said, hey, listen, I want to take John Mark with us on the second missionary journey. John Mark had messed up and he ended up running away on the first missionary journey. He said, you know what, I didn't sign up for this. And I had done a devotional about this before. But John Mark, a real snippet about John Mark, right? He's out there, he's going out there, and his first thing, he's a young kid. He goes out there and times get tough and things get rough. And then they end up in jail. And so then John Mark says, hey, I didn't sign up for this. As soon as he gets let go, good morning. And as soon as he gets let go, he goes out there and he says, I'm cutting out, guys. I'm done. And so he goes back to a place of safety. And so then finally Paul and Barnabas get back after evangelizing and converting all of these Gentiles. They have a great revival. They get back, and then at that point, the apostles come and they send them out. They pray for them. They regather, they regroup, and they get prayed for. And then all of a sudden, then Paul says, "Okay, we're going to go on another missionary journey." And so they're getting ready to go. I apologize for the camera, guys. The wind is horrible right now. So then Barnabas says, "Hey, let's take John Mark with us." But then Paul says, "No, that guy, he gave up and he quit on us. I'm not getting that guy with us anymore." But John Mark was Barnabas' either cousin or it was his brother-in-law. So then Barnabas says, "Hey, listen." Basically, in a paraphrase form, he says, "Listen, God has been so good to you. I stood by your side when everybody else was not willing to give you a chance. I stood up and spoke for you. Why don't you give this kid another shot? He's young. He's inexperienced. He got scared. So what? Give him another shot." But Paul said, "Nope, I'm putting my foot down. He ain't coming with me. He can go with you if you want, but he ain't coming with me." So then that division, that caused the division. So then Barnabas and Paul are no longer, not to say they're not friends, but they have very sharp words. We don't see them working together until later on, maybe about 14, 15 years later, is when we start seeing Paul and Barnabas again. But all that time is Paul picks another person, I forgot the guy's name, and then Barnabas and John Mark go together. The beautiful thing about John Mark was that at the end of it, I believe it's in Ephesians, when right before Paul is about to get executed, he's going to get beheaded or however his outcome was going to be. So then basically, I'm going to put this thing right here. Hopefully it'll dumb down the air. I apologize, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for bearing with me. And yes, it is very windy out here. I'm going to see if I can try to hold this apparatus here a little bit better so it doesn't move so much. So basically, at this point, Paul is about to get executed. And on this last few days, he's getting his last meals. And so he talks to Timothy, his son in the Lord, who he was a Gentile. I don't know, maybe not Gentile. So he says, Timothy, go out, and when you go out to the other churches, see if you can find John Mark. So the one that Paul was giving up on, the one that he X'd out and said, "No, don't come anymore. He's not coming with me. He's not good enough. He messed up. He's not going to do this." Then he's the one that actually was the one that Paul was looking for. And that is the story of redemption that we find with Paul and Barnabas. Because Barnabas was pleading for John Mark in the same way that he was pleading for Paul back in the day. And so he is the son of consolation, Barnabas, the son of encouragement, the son of admonition, the son of exhortation, the son that is going to encourage you in your low times and correct you in your wrong times. And I think that we need the Barnabas back in our lives today. Today we need the ministry of Barnabas more and more. We need people like that who are willing to encourage us, who are willing to stand up for us and speak for us when we don't have the words to speak. The people that are there to be an advocate for us and be intercessors for us and pray and supplicate for us and make intercession before God and before others. And so that's what the spirit of Barnabas is. And so as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about Galatians 1, which says, "My brethren, ye who are spiritual, if you see a brother falling down or going into a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of meekness, a spirit of gentleness, not in a spirit of superiority, not in the spirit of self-righteousness, that I'm better than you are, how you're a dirty sinner because you messed up. No, but in the spirit of gentleness. That is the spirit of Barnabas. Barnabas is the ministry of the hour that we need so desperately. think, going back to James 5, which is where I started off with, that it says that, you know, if any of you fall away from the truth or go astray from the truth, let him know that he who converts him, or a sinner, saves a soul from hell and covers a multitude of sin. Another version says, one who stops that person from falling away also stops an epidemic of people falling away. Because just like water or rain, it starts, the greatest torrential of rain starts with one drop. Oh, okay. So I'm hoping that this is coming through. So with that, I leave you today. I pray that you guys may have gotten something out of this. Joseph the exalted had to humble himself, and when he humbled himself, he became a great apostle, a teacher, and a prophet. He was used mightily in the gifts and as a support, primary support to Paul. And so we need that second fiddle, somebody who's going to be there to be in harmony with us and synchronize with us. So with that, I leave you today. God bless you guys.